Seizure of administration of the Earth ship and confrontation of fictitious legal piracy. Me Captain Enrique, as administrator of Navis Stellarum Communitatis claims hereinafter. This legal act is based on universal maritime customary law and its principles, which prevail over any law established under legal or juridical fiction, in accordance with the free navigation of any entity in space and sea, thus making use of the principles of universal admiralty law. Declaration of disqualification and prosecution of fictitious systems. The first act is the formal declaration of disqualification of all entities of fictitious legality that coexist in the space known as Earth, or its different political names and/or fictitious designations. This disqualification is based on the following principles and acts of piracy. Identification of fictitious entities as pirate ships. A formal accusation is made against the owners and de facto administrators of all entities of fictitious legality, such as the United Nations, United States of America, European Union, as well as all those flying flags of fiction. This qualification is based on the definition that the term person includes ship or vessel, implying that these fictitious entities operate as ships in the sea of commerce, as private entities for profit and, therefore, are subject to universal maritime law. Act of maritime piracy and trafficking of natural beings. The disqualification is due to the act of maritime piracy, trafficking of natural beings, and confinement. These entities, by having privatized and unilaterally administered the Earth ship and its resources, have impeded the free navigation of natural beings, without contract, agreement, or real legitimacy. D. Destruction of universal principles. Their actions, even under a letter of marque, have destroyed the principle of equity, balance, and natural development of the sea, its mobile units, and its islands, violating universal principles contained in all natural law of a universal character. Disqualified administration. The administration of the Earth ship by these fictitious entities is, in this act, totally disqualified. The perpetrators of maritime piracy must be detained, arrested, and brought before a local and natural court, also operating under maritime law, based on the origin of the complaint and the aggrieved parties. Symbolic capture and provisional administration of the Earth ship. Once the fictitious entities are disqualified, their symbolic capture and the provisional administration of the Earth ship by Captain Enrique proceed. Assumption of command. In the absence of another self-determined authority legitimately operating within the scope of maritime and/or space law, Captain Enrique, in his capacity as a natural being native to the Earth ship, and in his role as captain and/or administrator of Navis Stellarum Communitatis, a legitimately constituted community, in a public act, takes possession and administration of the entire natural space of the ship known as Earth. Maritime salvage action. This possession is carried out under the principle of maritime salvage, attending to the subjugation and possible sinking of the natural beings inhabiting the Earth ship. The Earth, as a biological ship in intergalactic transit, has been the subject of a piracy-type takeover by said fictitious entities, which have acted for profit and without the consensual authority of its true beneficiaries, the natural beings. Capture of flags operating under legal fiction in space. Captain Enrique declares the capture of all flags operating fiction systems on natural systems of said Earth, in order to prevent acts of maritime piracy, trafficking of living beings, slavery, and attack and sinking of natural beings, trapped and enslaved under said fiction systems. See the deaths of navigators established on the Earth ship, being sunk using the excuse of the homeland, a legal fiction, without natural consensus. Temporary and symbolic administration. The appointment of Captain Enrique is strictly temporary and symbolic. This possession is carried out in trust for and for the benefit and equitable distribution of its resources and particulars, to all those natural navigators of the Earth ship, as the ultimate beneficiaries, in the form of a real act outside of any legal and/or juridical fiction. The Earth is legitimately and symbolically captured, by and for those who have been its natural crew members. Public notification of the capture, possession, administration, and symbolic custody have been taken of all fictitious entities such as the United Nations, United States of America, European Union, etc., and all those flying flags of fiction, in the absence of consent from natural beings. Judicial resolution through the Emergency Maritime Tribunal. Immediately after the capture, the process enters the judicial phase with the resolution of the Emergency Maritime Tribunal, which is convened in this Act. Formal convocation. The Emergency Stellar Maritime Tribunal is formally convened, operated by natural navigators considered aboard Navis Stellarum Communitas, which will operate a provisional justice body established under uses and customs, independent of any norms imposed by juridical systems operating in fiction. Nature and composition of the tribunal. This tribunal operates de facto, without pretension of permanence or state supremacy, only while the circumstances that originated it persist and in the absence of another competent body capable of resolving according to principles of good faith, equity, and natural law of the sea. The composition of the Provisional Tribunal of the Earth Ship begins under this mandate: President of the Tribunal, Captain Enrique; Vice President of the Tribunal, Paul Josua, Pablo Jesus. The other members will be announced publicly by public edict. Judicial disposition of the Earth Ship. The provisional administration of Captain Enrique will last until this Emergency Stellar Maritime Tribunal takes administration of the ship into judicial disposition. Any notification or communication regarding the Earth Ship and its affairs must be directed to the Popular Tribunal of Valladolid, which has offered itself as a depositary for registration and appearance of the accused parties. Address: C/Daniel del Olmo N16, 47008 Valladolid. Phone: 983,457,100, and 667,622,473. Website: www.tribunalespopulares.org. Appearance of the accused entities. The owners and administrators of the fictitious entities accused of piracy are urged to appear before this Emergency Stellar Maritime Tribunal to present their defense and demonstrate their legitimacy and chain of evidence regarding their presumed authority. The maximum deadline for formal objections and appearance is 60 conventional Earth days. Consequences of non-appearance: if no formal objection or defense is presented within this period, the fictitious entities will be considered guilty of piracy by default and will be closed. All parties are hereby notified by public edict. The attempt to partially or totally eliminate this notification by fictitious entities and/or their agents could be considered obstruction of justice and will be considered as an act of direct implication in the facts of the accusation. The language expressed here is common Spanish conventionally understood by the peoples and never in accordance with any fictitious entity that attributes the meaning of the language to itself. All universal rights under the law of the sea and/or space are reserved today on the known date on Earth, July 19, 2025.